Well, anyway, I'm going to let this sit now for a bit. Let the snow melt off the tractor. There's not much left on it. It's just a little bit up in the corners and stuff like that. Going to let that sit for a good hour or so. I'm just going to move it over here. And I'm getting a little hooked on Killzone on the PS4, so I'm going to go play that for a couple hours. Okay, so I got the snowblower inside. God, is that heavy. That is a heavy, heavy duty snowblower. So that's the transmission right there for the snowblower. Belt drive to chain drive. That just goes on to the end there. And then there's that other lift plate which adjusts your height. Now there's no hardware for this kit. No nuts, bolts, stuff like that is what I mean by hardware. The guy that I bought it from, he had no idea what kind of shape it's in. He said he never used it, so I looked at some welding that needs to be done. It's not going to show up because it's full of snow right here. It needs to be patched. Someone tried welding it with the torch by the looks of it. I had it upside down to auger. Well, the actual whole rest of the assembly here seems to actually turn freely. So the chain is off right now, so I don't want to jam the chain up. Looks to me like it needs some welding there. That's what holds the transmission in place. So I can see that kind of being bad if that came loose. So a little bit of welding, stuff like that. I hope I don't have to start changing bearings, but if I do, it's not that big of a deal. Yeah, so far it looks to be in decent shape. I'm actually going to let this sit probably for a day or so, let it de-thaw. There's the lift mechanism on the back of it. I'm actually kind of thinking that, you know, the snowblower itself, I don't really want a snowblower on this tractor. Like, I hate snowblowers. I'd like to have a plow on it, you know, for plowing a driveway, something like that. The reason why I want a plow is because, in my opinion, a plow is fun. Plowing snow around. Using a snowblower, it kind of takes away the fun of having the, you know, the fun. How's that? So, time for the fun part. I am going to reinstall it just to make sure it's good. Now, if I decide to rump this tractor, like modify it, I'm probably going to send this snowblower attachment to Pug, because it'll fit his tractor. That's if he wants it. I still got to ask him, see if he wants it. Because if I'm going to be going there in the spring, again, I'll just bring it with me. That way there's no crazy shipping cost, anything like that. Because I also have to bring him a couple more rolls of wire and maybe another camera. So a pan, tilt, zoom, something a little bit fancy. So anyway, time for the fun part. I'll try to install this and see what happens. I think I got some of the hardware that I need. So those are all self-tappers. So yeah, half those drawers are empty right now. Yeah, I think I got what I need in here. If not, I'll have to go buy some. Okay, so I just finished going over the transmission. Never checked the oil or grease inside it yet. I got it so it turns super smooth. Anyway, the old owner never, I guess, checked it, or the original owner, not the guy I bought it from, because the guy I bought it from never used it, but the hex keys for this were all super loose, the Allen keys, I should say. So the Woodruff keys were a little bit worn out, but I'm going to continue using them for now. This is just a guide here that bolts it onto here. Now I looked here, that's a bracket for the side of this. It's broken there, it's cracked here, it's cracked there. The other side of the motor bolts on here, which is also cracked here. So there must have been a lot of vibration, or it could just simply be a lot of torque, because this is going to be taking a torque from your engine whenever you hit something hard. If there's no shear pins, like if there's not a shear pin in here, I guess the belt, no, the belt probably wouldn't slip. It's just going to tear the crap out of the entire snowblower. So it's going to need some welding. The belt's pretty well dry rotted. It's going to need a new belt. I'm going to have to clean up the pulleys. Maybe I'll just use the old belt for a while to use it to, you know, clean up the pulleys. So I've just been looking over it. Transmission's good to go. There's some weird little, I'm not sure if that's some kind of oil drain or what that is. So spring loaded, whatever it is. So I'm guessing it's for draining the oil, or maybe it's for the moisture to come out. I'm not too sure. On the bottom there is an oil drain plug right here. So I will check that. For now I'm going to run it, then I'll check it, because it is covered in oil and grease. So I'm going to actually guess that's pretty much empty, but it turns freely for now. So I will hook it up to a tractor, give it a try, then I'll pull that apart. So I know this is all loose, broken, but I got to mount the motor to it, because I got to see where everything fits before I start welding everything in place. Because the way this is, it's pulled up about 2 millimeters up, which could have made the chain start running crooked, which could have threw the chain. And if it throws the chain, it's going to lock this up, which could be why it got cracked here originally. So anyway, I'm going to actually paint this entire snowblower because it's kind of beat up and welded up. I'm going to probably use black or white bed liner, most likely white to keep it the original colors, and it should hide all the repairs and everything and look pretty decent. So anyway, I'll keep you guys up to date as I go along with it. Okay, so I'm not sure if it shows up there, but I tacked some of the cracks just on the ends. Now I'm hammering it back into shape. So you see it still rubs in a little spot. You can see it actually used to rub quite a bit there, which means it's pretty thin. So I'm just hammering it back down, and again you can see where I tacked the corners of the cracks. Just try to prevent the cracks from spreading. Again, I'm using just a crappy welder. So anyway, hard to say. This is kind of destroyed, but I'll see what I can do, and if it works I can always cut out that entire section there and weld in a brand new piece of metal if I ever need to. Holy, and I think I got a fair bit of smoke in here, hey? Just gotta give it a little bit of break, kind of cool down a bit in here. Welder overheated, so I gotta give it time to cool down. Well, I think I'm going to win Ugliest Welding of the Year award with this one. But of course, it had already been welded up once. The last guy used, by the looks of it, oxygen acetylene. So, whatever. It's going to work. I also very shittily tacked that on because it was starting to crack. So, whatever. Oh, and as you can see, very, very ugly in there. So again, shitty welder. I blame it on the welder because I know I can do better than that. And of course I was too lazy to, you know, grind that down. So I started polishing it here, getting rid of the rust. So, because I do want to paint this. So it came off super, super easy. It's super easy. I just wanted to Scotch-Brite pads on one of those suckers, but I kind of burnt through in a few spots, so I had way too much. I'm running 120 psi, so it's way too much power to do it. But again, it doesn't matter. That's just going to be like a base coat. I'm going to probably use a white bed liner. Should hold up pretty good after that. So anyway, I guess I'll mount my transmission, and then I'll figure out how to, you know, work with this cobbled mess. Sweet. Okay, so I got that bracket mounted. Looks like shit, I know. And I got that welded up. And all I got to do is figure out where the hell this goes. I actually have no idea where that goes, but I'm guessing it probably mounts to that bracket and that. I'm guessing. So, yeah, I've never seen actually one of these with a snowblower on it before. I'm going pretty much blind. Yeah, it has to mount on that side, so I don't know. Maybe it doesn't mount there. I have to figure it out. I might have to adjust the chain tensioner, which is this bolt here, because the chain is too loose, and because I'm cheap, I might just drill a hole about an inch underneath it and remount the chain tensioner underneath it, which will take up the slack. So, because it's not adjustable. So the other thing I could do is take my roto zip and a diamond blade and kind of cut a groove into it so it will be adjustable to chain tensioner. Anyway, it's going to take me a few minutes to figure this out, and I'll show you guys what it looks like once it's installed. Okay, it took me on maybe 2 seconds to realize that it slides into there, the front nose piece. And then I think it goes on the top like this. And then there's this bar here, which connects to the top here, into that hole. That bolts on, it slides on, bottom supports. Seems simple enough. Put it on and see what happens. Okay, so yeah, it just pushes into the front like that. And now it gives me the hand lift. I don't know if there's any bolts or anything yet, but where is it on the camera there? You can see I can pull up. That would drop it, I guess. Well, doesn't want to walk into the position there, but anyway, now I understand why these marks are on the engine. Right there, the crank.
Like in the Philadelphia story.
Should be from the crank that the motor's all scratched up there, which is not too big of a deal, of course. So, it's actually not going to look too bad with that. Besides the big ugly snowblower on the front, eh? Okay. So I got the snowblower attachment on. I can't hook up the belt right now because I don't have the lever to kick on and off the blower. I did manually hook it up. It's noisy because there's some rust and some metal from welding that's touching the auger, but that will wear out after using it once. I still got a few things to do on it, but you can see it's lifted up right now. Now it's lowered down. So that's all working good. The crank, a little stiff still, but it's working. Anyway, it's 9:30 at night, so I'm going to idle it outside. So it's quieter than my truck pretty much idling, so anyway, that's it for today. Okay, so I just brought the SS16 into the shop. As you can see, I got my tire chains on it. So man, does that make a huge difference. I thought my fat ass would be enough for this thing to move in the snow and ice, but no, had to put on the tire chains. I don't know how tight these tire chains fit. We're going to fit, I mean, so I added extra wires just going across it. I know a lot of people use bungee cords. It probably would have been fine without that, but you know, I don't want a chance of them coming off. Anyway, I just drove it in here. Had to boost it again. The battery's pretty much toast what's on it now. So I had the snowblower hooked up and I was using it. I actually plowed the entire backyard with it. Worked pretty good. A little bit noisy, but you know, it is a belt-driven older snowblower, so I'm just going to let all the snow melt off it. And I'm going to be changing the oil on it. I was going to go buy a battery, but it's already too late today. It's Sunday night. Not night, it's like only 5:45, so so I was going to go buy a battery, but I never had a chance. I got to lower the skis on it there because right now it's leaves a little bit too much snow. It kind of leaves a 1/4 inch of snow, maybe 1/2 inch. So I want to lower it down just a tiny bit more. I don't want to be catching gravel or firing gravel or anything like that, but I'm pretty sure I could get away with going a bit lower on it. So yeah, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be painting the entire snowblower attachment. It's kind of hard to say with all this ice and snow on there, but you can see right here I removed the rust. It used to be all yellow like that. So you can see right there kind of where I stopped. I was just using a Scotch-Brite pad on a air tool or air die grinder. So yeah, so I'm going to remove all the rust and I'm going to actually give it a shot of bed liner. Just the fact that there's so many hairline cracks, so many ugly welds on it. I'm going to remove the stickers. I just spray it up like that. I know it's might make it look a little bit bad, but black is going to be better than what it looks like now. I'm also going to give it a shot on the inside. I do got to tension the chain on it, so the chain needs to be tensioned. It's pretty loose. So you think that bolt there would be adjustable for the chain tensioner, but it's not. So I'm going to actually I'm going to move this against the chain. So I'm just going to re-drill a hole beside it about 1/2 inch, and it'll be tight against the chain. And later on I can always notch that out and use it for like adjustability. It's either that or I could go buy a new chain. So yeah, a new chain, I could do that, but I don't know how much free play there is in that chain. I'm guessing the chain probably came off. That's probably what tore off the entire jack shaft assembly here. So I'm going to make sure that's good. You can see my belt here had a little bit of chewing happening on the top of it because the way the old owner had it set is, I'll just hook this back up real quick. he had this, right now it's wrong, I know it's wrong, but the way it is, just give that a push, and you can see the way it is. But the pulley, I guess, was meant to be on the top. It's hard to say. I actually just had to weld that. As you can see there, it looks like shit because it was ripped right through. He used to have it so this would catch on the top here, and it just burnt the shit out of the belt. So yeah, I got to figure out how that's actually meant to go. This way here, it seems to be good because it's, it's pushing against the belt all the time. And actually, just start it up here for a second. You'll see it spin. Oh, maybe I won't. Battery's too dead. So engage it. No, battery's too dead. Anyway, I know it needs a new battery. It's had it running for 15 minutes and it's won't even take a charge. So, and I double checked it with multimeter. It is putting out the proper voltage. So it's just the battery. Anyway, yeah, I'm gonna have to play around with the tensioner, try to figure out how it's actually meant to go on. Other than that, yeah, I don't know what else really to say other than I'm going to paint the front of it. I'm going to double check that nothing came loose on it. And oil change for sure. Anyone want to recommend what kind of oil they normally use in this thing? I know 1030, very common, but they had 530 on sale, so probably going to put some of that in it. I might switch it to 1030. I'm pretty sure it actually says on it to use 1030 if I remember right. So I know it said on here something along that lines. So it actually says 530 on it. Below 30 Fahrenheit, 530. Okay, so I'll be fine. So above SAE 30, below 530. Okay, well, I'm going to use 530 in it. Yep. Can't really give any more updates. I never did anything else with this chainsaw yet. It's still sitting there. So I gave it a couple cold starts. It starts in about 4 or 5 pulls, so it's not that bad. The snowblower here, I took off the track on the bottom there to ski. So that has to be done, and I got to do a little bit of welding on the bottom of it. So it has a little hairline crack there, right here, and it's actually separating along there, so I got to push it, weld it. No big deal. I drained all the gas out of it, so I can actually weld it up. I might do that tonight, not too sure. Might as well throw the booster charger on here just so the battery doesn't freeze. Even though it's, of course, a heated garage with in-floor heating, so it's not going to freeze, but I'm going to kick it out in a few minutes. I was going to buy a battery this week, but I never had a chance to get to Crappy Tire. They're closing in 15 minutes. So, anyway, that's where I'm going to leave this for now.